Avery, whose show is this?
Bing bong, huh? What's up, Knicks fans? How you holding up? How'd that parade go the other day? Good Lord, you losers. All right, I'm Anthony Irwin. This is the Lakers Lounge. I'm joined on this fine, extra fine Wednesday night by Raj Chapalu. Raj, you and I were trying to decide, or we were trying to figure out when you were going to be able to come on the show, what time that would actually be. And I'm like, man, 10:30 my time is late for the off season. Boy, are we am I thrilled that we waited for that. One, that was one of the best basketball games I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Right. That was an incredible drama. The storylines throughout the game. I cannot wait for game 2. Such an insane game, all of that stuff. 2, at some point, I would like to be able to promise to you guys that we'll talk about the Lakers at some point here, or that I'll find a way to segue to Lakers stuff off of that game. I'll try. I really, really will. I think the way that we'll probably do this is like which Pacers wings would we be most interested, or would the Lakers maybe have a
You mean
shot
all of
at?
them? You mean like every single one of them?
Aaron Michael Jordan Nesmith kind of
Right.
comes to mind here.
Yeah.
So we'll talk a little bit about that if we get around to it. And 3, Raj, you could see it there off to the side. Those of you who are watching live on YouTube, which, by the way, please hit that subscribe button, please hit that like button, please hit that share button, hit all the nice buttons. And then if you guys are listening to this in the morning via podcast, hit that subscribe button wherever it is that you get your podcast, preferably on Odyssey. But you see it. If you guys are watching live, you see it there off to the side right below today on the show. The basketball gods are always watching.
Mm-hmm.
And Raj, I'm an English major, so I look for this shit. This is the kind of stuff that like this feeds my worldview.
Okay.
A lot of it's confirmation bias, but we don't have to go there. But the New York Knicks, more New York Knicks fans celebrated beating the Boston Celtics like they had just won a championship. They flooded the streets.
Yes.
There were tens of thousands of people throughout the greater metropolitan area there in what those people consider the greatest city in the world. And I said, what are you doing? What is going on here? You won a second round series against a team that just lost its best player. What is happening right now? And the whole thing there is, because I remember this as a fan, like when I was growing up and I didn't follow basketball as technically as we do now.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember watching teams that the Lakers were getting to play in the next series. And if that team celebrated just a little bit too much, I'd be like, ooh, all right, they're toast.
We got 'em.
Cool. We're good there. And seeing Knicks fans go on and on and on and on and on about the way that they did, because no, actually, our second round victory is different than every other second round victory that has ever happened, because we're from New York and stuff just matters more out here. And it's like, no, it doesn't actually. You won a second round series. Carrying on that way is going to piss off the basketball gods. And what did the actual New York Knicks do here tonight? They let go of the rope at the end of regulation. 2:40 to go. You're up by 14 points. Going into that moment, NBA teams were 0-970, being down 14. That is via I can't find her. She's here we go. Kirthika, who again I'm just gonna say Kirthika you, because I can't pronounce your last name. She's an incredible statistician. But teams were 0-970 when they were down 14 or more going into the final 2 minutes and 50 seconds in regulation of the playoffs over the last 27 postseasons. They are now 1-970. When you celebrate a little too early, Knicks fans, you piss off the basketball gods. And the basketball gods were especially cruel, as they appear to always be to you. in particular. But still, they were particularly cruel to the New York Knicks tonight because everything that you were getting criticized for going on and on and on about winning a second round playoff series, it popped up and it bit you square in the ass tonight. And man, it was fucking amazing. It was incredible to watch.
What it reminds me of this quote, a few years, it was like when the Knicks weren't playing well, but this was, I think, in 2009. David Lee had this funny quote because I think Kobe came in, had 61, then LeBron came in, had like 50 something, and some other star, maybe it was Carmelo, I'm not remembering, came in, had a huge night. And David Lee came out and said, that was the best 0-3 week I've ever had, as a New York Knick. And I remember Jeff Van Gundy was like, that's the worst quote I've ever heard from a player in my life.
Former Knicks coach,
right.
too, by the way.
Exactly. But this is why I think this show works so great, Anthony, because when I read the basketball gods are always watching, I saw it from a different view of, I don't know if this is a hot take or not, because there is this side of Twitter that has kind of, or basketball conversation has really moved towards this, but fouling up three is lame to me.
It is.
It's extremely lame. Yeah. I don't care what the numbers say. Almost every game that I've watched, the team that fouls up three misses a free throw, something crazy happens where it just does not do the intended cause. Now, again, there are times where you can kind of look back in hindsight and going, man, we shouldn't have gave up that three. And maybe play a little bit better defense, but that is extremely lame. That is not why the crowd is there. That is not why millions of people tune in.
It takes away from the entertainment of the sport.
The entertainment. And not even that, Anthony. I don't think it works. Like it again now it gives the other team 2 free points where they would have had to earn a tough basket in the half court against a very locked in defense. I'm assuming the Knicks gave up a double clutch dunk to Obi Toppin in a last position.
By the way,
man, one. I'm not even sure Obi Toppin felt it. By the way, he was just so excited because he was so high up and realized there's no one around me.
That dude has fucking
insane,
unbelievable bunnies.
By the way,
he has flubber on the bottom of his shoes. It's unbelievable.
At the time, I did not understand the trade, and I don't even remember who they got for Obi Toppin. Off the top of my head, the Knicks traded him to Indiana. But I'm not remembering the trade. But at the time, I was like,
he was just kind of letting him go away. I don't think that guy ever mattered.
Right. And so I think it was a Tibbs and Toppin weren't on the same page in terms of basketball wise. Yeah. But I was like, that guy is very good. But in any case, yes, Anthony, I think fouling up three is extremely lame. And we saw it with I think Chet Holmgren, right? A couple, in game 1 against Denver. We saw it, tonight. I've seen it in so many instances. It's just a really lame way to.
They traded Obi Toppin for 2 future second round picks.
Okay, no player coming back.
No.
Wow. Okay, I remember it was an awful trade. I didn't remember, how terrible it was, but I was like, that guy's really good. That's an athletic wing that shoots good percentage on corner threes. But yeah, just basketball gods are always watching, not only from the celebration standpoint, but from the basketball sense as well. Just play defense. Earn the stop. The trading 2 for trading 2 for 2s instead of 1s. It's just I hate that process, and the Knicks suffered for it tonight.
Yeah, the thing with like the fouling up three thing is like I think you put it well. It runs antithetical to the whole reason we're watching, right? It's why I think the NBA should look into like not allowing it. Like if you foul up three in that spot, it's the same as a take foul because you're not playing basketball in that moment,
Yeah.
I think that would be one way to get rid of it in the sport. But even if they don't, I think you're absolutely right in that, like, Raj, one of the best points that I legitimately build off of in some of my takes. So maybe I owe you some royalties, but one of your best takes is about how implementing passive notions impacts the rest of a team's mentality, and how, like, because the just like the raw competitor in these guys is going to be like, no, just let me play basketball here. Let me just defend.
Yeah.
And once you turn that off, even for a brief second, it now has to kick back on. You know, and even if we don't even look at it like a mechanical thing that needs to kick back on, just that brief letdown of, oh, well, we're just going to foul anyway.
Yeah.
You know, I would imagine also there was some of that going on with that Obi Toppin play where
Absolutely.
the Knicks were probably getting ready to foul anyway. They got really lucky in that the referees were trying everything they could to keep the Knicks in that game in overtime. That Brunson, that happened right in front of the referee. The ball going off of Brunson that they had to challenge, and Timothy Chalamet, don't, whatever his name is, like that guy is sitting there screaming, tech. Shouts to Hallie for getting in the way there and not letting the ref like hand the ball to, like, did you see how quickly he was trying to hand the ball to him too?
Yeah,
like, it was
very
wild.
smart.
I'm watching this. By the way, I woke up Jen like 4 different times. Jen, I'm sorry. But like, I'm watching this. I'm just like, what is going on? It's clearly off of Brunson. You have to give the guy, the other team, time to challenge if they so choose. Halliburton literally had to stand in front of the referee to not let him inbound the ball. They finally challenge it. It takes 3.2 seconds because it was a clear as day call that the guy missed in the first place. And then that was such a clear and one that like, I don't know what else the referees are looking for there, especially given that they are trying to foul anyway. But they got really lucky that the game didn't end there and there. And then, you know, to your point a second ago about like, I would love that we'll never get this footage because Carlisle probably said something kind of offensive about the Knicks in the huddle when they were like, you know, we're not going to foul here, you know, because and I tweeted this out and I think people were taking it as a joke, and I'm not joking at all. The Knicks had extreme lemon booty for the previous 7 minutes of that basketball game, especially from 3-point range. Whenever Brunson was getting into the paint, he was having a ton of success there because he was getting himself good looks. But if it was any kind of a distant shot or anything like that, you could see the Knicks like, and even on free throws too, right? It was like, you know, they could feel the air being sucked out of that building. And Carlisle, who's been around the game forever, probably told his guys, no, man, these guys are in the middle of the greatest choke job most people will ever see in their lifetime. Let them continue choking. Don't foul them. Don't extend this game. Play good defense. Stay in front. I would imagine Carlisle would probably prefer they got a rebound in that spot and the ball didn't kick out to Karl Anthony Towns, who almost airballed it too. So like, I think you're absolutely right about like, and this is kind of how I feel about the whole like walking the dog thing. That yes, it technically, mathematically is an advantage, but I think you wind up losing points on that following possession anyway, so you don't really get the advantage that you're looking for. I just think like, when a team intentionally goes passive in any moment in a close game, they are asking for retribution from the basketball gods. And you are asking, and you're giving up such a mental focus advantage to the team that you're playing,
and to a team that feels like they're up a bajillion in terms of house money, right? They are not supposed to be here at all. Their Eastern Conference Finals run last year was, deemed fake. They're now back here again, and something that stands out with Indiana, and I think this was noticed in the Cleveland series. I saw it tonight. You see it against Milwaukee. Anthony, Indiana does not play the score. They do not give a crap what the score is. They don't care what quarter it is. They could have easily came in tonight going, man, we had 8 days off. We're a little rusty. Let's kind of, get our flow in. Nope. 8 straight shots go in. Their 8 first shots go in. Super aggressive early. Nesmith going right at everybody. We're ball pressuring Jalen Brunson from tip off. First play, Jalen Brunson's coming to check in. And Reggie Miller goes, they got 2 people on Brunson already. Yeah, you're going to feel me the whole night. And Brunson had 40. He was incredible, brilliant, right? All the one-handed.
Needs to be mentioned as well.
All the floaters at that height that he was able to make. People are going to talk about the free throws, which, you can kind of debate about. But the every one footed runner went in for him, off balance, just incredible. But I just respect that so much out of Indiana. Every guy that comes in, doesn't matter what it is, they do not cheat their effort at all. There's no this play is not run for me, so let me just kind of go through the motion here. Nope. I am sprinting, and people are like, how do they get so many back cuts? That's how they get so many back cuts, is that every cut is with precision, it's with intention. And you kind of change that to the Knicks. I thought they really let their foot off the gas, and I saw that against Cleveland, against Milwaukee as well, who was, they were injured to start those series. But yeah, this is a team that just sees blood. Like, oh, you're up 10? You think it's over? All right. And now, like, here comes the haymaker where, they're able to take you out. It's just absolutely incredible. I had no doubt that that Halliburton shot, once it went up, I was like, oh, that's going in. Like, it just
one
felt,
way or another.
Right. Yeah. The universe was going to put that in for him.
Yeah. I was telling Jen, I remember when I was a kid, there was the first ever game that my dad coached me, played this really close basketball game. I was like 10. And this kid hit a shot like that where the ball hits the front of the rim and it just goes up like 30 feet and then just like falls through the net, barely even moves the net. And it's such a gut-wrenching moment. And I'm like, damn, dude, that is the meanest way that this could possibly end. But actually, I think the way that the Knicks lost is even meaner, right?
Even worse. Yeah, like, you got a chance.
Yeah, because you're like, we're not dead.
Right,
How
right.
about that? Like,
right.
We got a chance. The basketball gods weren't that mean. We got a toe on the line. It's the Kevin Durant thing. We got a chance. No, you don't.
Yeah.
Actually, no, you don't. The Pacers got everything that they wanted in overtime. And Brunson was playing incredible in overtime. He was very well rested because of the foul trouble that he was dealing with in the fourth quarter. And I thought Brunson, like you said, was absolutely spectacular tonight. I was actually really happy with the refereeing in this one, where, yeah, he got a couple of his grifting calls and stuff like that. But for the most part, like down the stretch of regulation, a couple of the turnovers that were created happened because he was trying to throw his head back every time he felt any kind of contact. And to those referees who are going to be refereeing the game 2 between the Thunder and the Wolves, there you go. Like that's how we want to watch grifters refereed. But anyway, I guess we should try to turn this thing to a Lakers conversation. Is there anything else that you have on the game? Like, is that, I to me, Raj, that was legitimately one of the best basketball games I've ever seen played.
Yeah,
the amounts of strategy in it. I thought Carlisle was really smart to go away from Turner, who clearly didn't have it tonight. And then, shouts to Toppin, who, you pointed out was traded for only 2 second-rounders and no players, to a division rival, right? They're in the same division, right? Right?
Yeah. I guess I don't think Indiana was that good at the time, but yeah, for sure. Just absolutely giving them Obi Toppin. I think an underrated part just of this whole run. So I don't know if you saw it, but and not that I watched this show, but it just comes on the screen. Gilbert Arenas was on First Take and went, they were talking about who's the best number 2 in the league, and he used it to kind of attack Pascal Siakam in terms of, well, Pascal's the best number 2 because he doesn't want to be a number 1 anymore, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. He was traded to Indiana, but in any case,
he didn't like demand. He was like, guys, I don't want to do this anymore.
Right. Yeah, it was
that guy's team.
Wasn't really his choice, but Pascal Siakam, just the ability for Indiana, because they obviously have a style that they run, right, in terms of very much fast pace, very much we want to get out in transition. We have a pass first point guard that really ups the pace. But to me, Siakam being the well, we don't have anything going, so let's just throw it to this guy, and he's going to get a good shot. He's either going to get fouled, he's going to hit a turnaround jumper, he's going to get to the rim, who also operates brilliantly off the ball. Just a perfect fit that I think a lot more teams should have been in on Siakam. I was, for the Lakers, I'm not sure the fit made a lot of sense at the time.
We always do this thing with guys like Siakam,
right?
Where and it's especially weird with him in particular because we saw him slotted correctly.
Sure.
When they had Kawhi,
second best player,
when they had Fred VanVleet, when they had that
Lowry
that won a championship, we saw with that team where he kind of belongs in the pecking order
Yeah.
roster wise, and then we hold it against guys when they are asked to do more than that,
Yeah.
and we forget what they look like slotted properly. And I think what we're seeing from Indiana these last 2 years, right? 2 straight trips to the Eastern Conference Finals with him as their second best player, is a reminder of like, no, it's not his fault that they thought of him a certain way, that Masai Ujiri thought of him a certain way. Actually, when you put him into that role, I thought he was pretty bad for chunks of the game, but also, like, while he was bad offensively, and this is the thing that drives me so crazy about like the way that we talk about basketball, is like there's a whole other half to the court.
Right.
Like, at no point was I watching Pascal Siakam on defense and being like, oh man, I said that on offense, but I never thought to myself like, God, it wasn't like a Turner thing where Cat was lighting him up. And you're like, all right, yeah, he doesn't have it on offense. He's getting lit up by Cat on the other side. You're probably better off getting some speed out there to try to counter New York's size.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the right call. But with Pascal, like, he's a big part of that. And then in the second half, when he did finally get it going offensively, that's when I thought the tide really turned.
Right. And, for me, he's a release valve for them. And if you listen to, any stars talk, and, Kevin Durant is funny with this on X in terms of how he really tries to explain, like, you guys don't know how tough every shot and possession is in the playoffs, right? I think for a guy to get up 17 shots, I think what was he, 7 for 16, whatever it is, that just helps Indiana so much, just having another guy they can just give the ball to, and you don't have to run anything for him. Here's the basketball, no screens, nothing, can attack whatever matchup. He's a mismatch kind of nightmare for anyone, even the Knicks team that has, the wings that they do. He can go at them in different ways. I think he's just a huge pickup, one of the biggest trades of the last 2 years, really. I mean, it has really catalyzed this Indiana team and, pushed them to places I don't think they'd be without him. And I think this is insane. I mean, but
Indiana also smart, right? They gave Bruce Brown the amount of money that they gave him, which was in a vacuum and overpay, but giving him all of that money and, opening up a cap slot for yourself and paying up for it gave them that opportunity to trade for Pascal Siakam. So this is the kind of thing, Raj, that I always talked about, like with the Malik Beasley thing and with the Mo Bamba thing.
Missed opportunity.
You can't just let opportunities pass you by. And in this case, the Pacers created themselves an opportunity and then made good on it by turning that guy who was clearly overpaid into Pascal Siakam, who I think helped turn around their franchise.
Yeah, it's a small world too, because it's funny that those Beasley and Bamba contracts were really let go to go get Bruce Brown, who went and signed in Indiana, who now gets them Pascal Siakam. So
my bad.
Lakers get
twist the knife in people's.
Lakers get some credit here in a strange way for helping the Pacers.
All right, now Pacers, you're welcome for that. Now send us one of your wings, please.
Yeah, no chance.
It was funny when Shepard came in, they were like, oh shit, they have this guy too.
Right, yeah.
This guy has played 3 minutes to this point.
Yeah.
And it was partially because of injury or whatever. And I'm like, oh man, Shepard's actually good too, huh?
He's he's solid. Yeah.
So I think it's going to be interesting to see how the Pacers handle their offseason here, because they do have to pay Turner. Oh, here we go. Here's me being a host. Here's what we're bringing back to the Lakers. The Pacers do have to pay Turner this upcoming offseason. Maybe elect not to, and Turner goes. But he's been such a big part of their success tonight, notwithstanding, that I think eventually they do decide to pay up for him. But that means that they will have to choose one of their wings, at least, that they will not be able to pay moving forward unless their owner completely rethinks the way that he has seen the luxury tax for the extent of his time running the team. I think they are one of the teams that have never paid the luxury tax over the last few decades or whatever it is. So whether it's, I think Nesmith is probably the least likely to be moved, even though he's already been paid. Nembhard is somebody who people really, really, were hoping would be moved this last trade.
He's not
trade
going
season, this
anywhere.
last trade deadline. I don't think he's probably being traded. But if it's Shepherd, I think Mathurin was somebody who was on the trade block back at the deadline. Either of those guys, Ross, slot perfectly on this Lakers roster.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think
Perfectly.
a lot of those have become pipe dreams for me. Just a team. I mean, this team is freaking 3 wins away from the NBA Finals. I mean, that, you know what I mean. And just
Yeah.
for me, their core of Siakam, Neesmith, Turner, Halliburton, and Nemhard, really, that's the 6 for them. Everyone else, Obi Toppin maybe is a guy that they want to keep, but I'm sure they feel like they can kind of move the pieces around that. But those 6 to me aren't going. No, Aaron Neesmith had 30 tonight. I mean, just, in a game one, and he's been incredible. All these guys are two-way guys, other than really Tyrese Halliburton, who still has good size on the defensive end. It's funny because our whole hopes and dreams, right, with Miles Turner was, man, the spacing 5, like what a incredible help that would be. And to me, like, yeah, he had some jumpers tonight, but Anthony, his defense for them, like the rim protection, he allows, to me, all those guys to be uber like physical and pressure. So yeah, Turner would be great. I think they're gonna pay him.
Not happening.
Yeah, and all those guys, you're not getting Andrew Nemhard, you're not getting Aaron Neesmith. You could probably get Benedict Mathurin, but again, the cost of that would probably be more than the Lakers would want to give. But I think the positive is, I think these guys you can find. Like, I think that's been enlightening to me in the playoffs, is a lot of these guys are archetypes of players that you don't really. They're more like D&3, but they're just super physical guards with size, and I think that's kind of the archetype. Easier said than done, of course, in terms of what the Lakers have to maneuver with. But yeah, I would, if I'm a Laker fan, I would not really, think of these Indiana yellows as Laker yellows anytime soon.
Well, I think Mathurin
Mathurin, yeah,
possibly, because again, like if you're getting Mathurin, if you're getting Shepherd, you're probably giving up something that is going to sting a little bit.
yeah,
You obviously don't have to give up Reeves. You don't have to give up Rui for those guys, but you probably have to give up the 31 first for either of those guys. And,
yeah.
is that something that the Lakers would be willing to do?
I don't
My
see it.
question, Raj, is if let's just say the Lakers hypothetically got Mathurin
Mm-hmm.
and somehow, some way, Rui stayed on the team or whatever, you would have to make a choice, I think, between Rui. Well, I guess technically Mathurin could come off of the bench. He comes off of the bench for Indiana right now because of
Mm-hmm.
the wings that play ahead of him. But if you give up a first rounder for him, your only first rounder that you can move right now for him, or Shepherd, kind of feel like you have to consider starting him. But if you start him, that means you have to now choose between Reeves and Rui.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty easy here to probably not start Rui. But I also really like the idea of Reeves coming off of the bench and getting to attack the second units with his on. We called him Manu at back
Sure.
at the end of the regular season. But anyway, like I guess even if it isn't specifically about Mathurin, but if the Lakers go out and get a shooting guard here,
Yeah.
how serious should you take the possibility of Reeves or Rui not starting next year?
So I think the interesting part here is, obviously, Luka's a guard in sense of his offensive responsibility.
Guards fours though.
Exactly. So he's a forward, really, right? Because positions is determined by who you're guarding. And so that's why I think Rui would be probably more of the one that you would think would go to the bench. And I think that's fine. I'm not holding towards Rui being a starter or anything like that. I think the Lakers need an athletic person to be in that position in terms of who can defend other teams 2 and 3s. That's just a position we don't have. The Max Christie types, for example, all the guys you named on Indiana. I was watching tonight, like I'm watching Indiana ball pressure, and that's just something we don't even have. Like, when did we ball pressure once in the Minnesota series? Like, Gabe, I guess, did a little. Maybe
Raj,
Gabe.
they don't need an off-ball pressure. Like, go back and watch. I had to stop watching. I was like, for one of these shows, I was like, all right, let's pop on here and let's look at what we just saw from that series. I got to about this. I made the mistake of watching the first game because I was
Okay.
doing it like a TV show where I was going to watch the series, and
Mhm.
I started with game one, and I was like, nope, no can do. And the thing that really set me off is how easily the Lakers give up possession or gave up possession to teams when they were setting screens. Watch these teams, the teams that are still left. When a team is getting ready to set screens, they're up in their chest, they're
Yep.
knocking them off the spot. They're trying to get that screen setter, the screener, to not be fully set when the screen happens so that when the guy trying to fight over the top gets hit by the screen, they can flop and get that contact to get the ball going the other way. That's the whole point. But every time the anybody from the Wolves were trying to set a screen or whatever, the Lakers were just like, please, sir, please proceed this way. And I'm like, no. Like it was just such soft defense, and the Lakers played. So I know you don't like using that four-letter word, but the Lakers played so soft compared to,
I
especially when we watch what we're watching from these teams that are still left behind or still
hu-
going.
100%. And I think another part of this is how many times did Halliburton get ISO'd on Brunson? Very few, right? They don't just allow Brunson to hunt Tyrese Halliburton whenever he wants. And when he wants that matchup, it takes time. You're gonna get hit in the face. You're gonna catch elbows. Like there is no, yeah, just let's just concede this switch, and then whatever Brunson decides to do, will be in a reactive position to it, right? Because that's what the Lakers did with Anthony Edwards. Yeah, you can go and hunt Luka Doncic, and we will wait for you to decide what you want to do, and then we'll react towards it, right? So Ant's like, I'm gonna drive on my right side. All right, now once Ant drives right, then we'll send our help. But Knicks and the Pacers don't react that way at all. On the other end of it as well, right? Brunson doesn't just get isolated on Siakam, whenever they want either, right? There's a level of help defense that's created, but yeah, that was super frustrating. That's something that really stuck out to me. And like Mathurin, I think is nice. He's not really in the I think he's a really good young player. He was a sixth pick in 2022. You know what I mean? So that's a high draft pick for, Indiana, a team that never really tanks. So, having that high of a pick, I'm sure they still hold in somewhat high regard. But even putting that notwithstanding, he's just not in the realm of the Nemhard, the Neesmith to me. He was hurt in their last run. He's obviously come off the bench, had some nice games in the playoffs. But yeah, to me, I wouldn't give up the Lakers 31 first for Mathurin, but I see him as that
He's a
archetype
former
for sure.
number 8 pick. So is he still younger? I think he's still younger than Dalton.
Yeah, he was sixth. He was a sixth pick in 2022. He's
He's
yeah, he's 22.
22.
Yeah,
Yeah.
younger than Dalton for
Mhm.
sure. People are saying he's like Kuminga. I don't really see that too much. I think he's been more helpful than Kuminga has, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good talent grab, I guess. He's a guy that probably does want to start though, that probably does want to get paid, doesn't want to get moved towards his next contract. That's something that you got to keep in mind. But yeah, it's eye opening just watching these two teams defend versus how we were able to kind of play and put our pieces out there. And you just need more athleticism. You need guards that can pressure. You need guys who can play in a physical realm, a universe that I think we just weren't ready for at all.
Yeah, I look at it like well, look, I wouldn't trade the pick unprotected.
Okay.
And I would do everything in my power because I think Mathurin is still on his rookie deal.
Yes.
So you're sending out probably and the Pacers are doing this so that they don't have any long-term money on their books. So maybe it's like Gabe's contract. I'm literally building this trade while I'm talking. But yeah, if you're only sending out Gabe's contract, then it probably has to be, a
Has to be some
substantial piece that goes to Indiana. Um,
right.
Mathurin makes 9.1 mil. Gabe makes 11.5 mil.
Pretty close.
So Gabe and the 31 first, like I can think of worse ways to use that pick.
Sure.
I would say like top, like lottery protected. I
Sure.
would say lottery protected, 31 first with Gabe's contract to go out, and
Yeah, I can see that. When I watch Indiana, Gabe just doesn't fit their style. Like they don't play anyone under 6'4", 6'5". I gotta check how tall TJ McConnell is. But like other than him, who
he's
again it
about
feels
Gabe's height. Yeah,
okay. Yeah, I mean he just plays a little bigger because he takes a lot of like fadeaway jump shots and stuff like that and works in the post. But yeah, just Gabe doesn't really fit their style.
he
Rui to
plays
me,
a lot harder than Gabe does.
yeah. I mean that's his whole thing, right? Doesn't
Gabe is 6'3", McConnell is 6'1".
Oh wow, he's taller than McConnell. Okay, it doesn't feel that way on the court, but Rui feels like more of a pacer type of player. Just I feel like Rui would thrive in that system, just being able to run up and down. Not that couldn't thrive here, but just I think Rui's a guy that Indiana would look at and go, okay, you want Benedict Mathurin? All right, throw us Rui, and we'll fill whatever salary it is, and that's more of an even exchange for Indiana, who again doesn't have to do this deal. They could easily go into next season. I think he's signed until next year, or maybe he's a restricted free agent.
He's next year he's on an expiring.
Okay.
So they're going to start having those negotiations for the rookie extension and stuff like that.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I like Mathurin. I just you don't have too many chips to play with first rounders. And
would you do Rui for Mathurin and Shepard?
If that's straight up, I probably do it if you can't find anything else. Rui still has a lot of value, I think, but I like Mathurin a lot. I wouldn't give it first for him, but that's definitely the archetype of a deal I would at least think of. I understand people who wouldn't do that. Rui was super helpful. Actually, we have a lot of forwards, Anthony. Like the roster has to balance some way.
None of these decisions would be easy to make.
No.
Like if you're trading Rui, because and it is a completely fair retort to have. The Lakers are at a athleticism and physicality disadvantage against most of these teams. Why are you trading them one of the more physical and athletic guys that they actually have? Now, I would argue that Mathurin and Shepard are both very physical and athletic for their position.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I also I don't think the bar is as high with Rui as it is for Austin, where they will only trade Austin for a current or like a guy who could be an all-star next year.
Right.
I don't think it's quite that high with Rui, but I do know he has some fans very high up in the organization.
Sure.
And like one name in particular that I keep coming back to is Tim Harris, the guy who's in charge of business for the Lakers. And Rui giving the Lakers access to the Japanese market is something that he would probably be like, are you sure? Like he was really good in the playoffs, are you sure that you were willing to trade? So like, and because of the way that the Lakers operate, Tim Harris's voice is really going to matter, and so.
And something I think we don't really put into this because I think Austin dominates this conversation, which deservedly so, right? But Rui's another organizational win, right? That Kendrick Nunn in 2 seconds for Rui Hachimura has turned into an extension, has turned into a starter, has turned into a guy who's performed well in the playoffs. Obviously, Rui's going into, I believe, his final year of the 3-year extension that he signed here. But I think he's another guy that they see as, all right, we found this guy. We didn't develop him per se, but I mean, Rui Hachimura, go look at his Instagram. He is doing with Phil Handley, right? He's a guy that he's worked very extensively with him, guy who's been in the Lakers sphere. I'm with you. It's just Rui for Mathurin is kind of on the lower edge of I'm trading talent for fit, right? And you don't want to overthrow that trade. You know what I mean? Where you're throwing so much over the water to get the fit in when the talent gap is so high. And that's what I see with a lot of the Austin trades that are mocked, Anthony, that get sent to me. Again, please don't send me 5-team trades. It's just, I'm not zooming in that far. But yes, I see that with Austin.
I think what happens there is people are like, they hit the try trade button.
Right. It doesn't work.
Green at the top. And it's like a legitimate accomplishment because of how complicated the CBA is. That they're like, I have to share this with somebody. I have to.
I do
So
I do appreciate and I do reply and I give a thoughtful analysis on it. But yeah, 5-team trades, as Windhorse calls it, I think are no team trades because they just don't they don't exist. But yeah, I just Mathurin for Rui's on the kind of really lower end of in terms of talent for fit trade. Which again, I to your point, none of these are easy, and I think when you're in a spot the Lakers are, you kind of have to look for these, right? Because you're throwing a lot of these players, you're not going to find their equal talent in another position. Yeah, it's just that's a very tough place to kind of look. So when you're trading like when you're trading like guard for center or forward for guard or and stuff like that, it's just tough to find
I'm
players in
looking
this.
at it more like trading wing for wing in this
Okay.
case. Like I'm
Okay.
looking and what I mean is like type of wing for different type of wing.
hmm
I think Matherin's going to be good. I think he's a little psycho. Like
I think that's a good thing though. I don't mind that the little
I think it helps. I
craziness.
think there if you can harness it a little bit, I think it can help. Um, I would be nervous. Like if you are trading Rui for him, Mathurin is your starter.
Okay.
And either you're going with Reeves as your 2 and Mathurin is your 3, and then Luka LeBron, right? Is that 4 people? Yeah,
Yes, you're
he's
having.
basically taking Rui's spot in the starting group.
You just need a
Um,
center, right?
Mathurin, I want to see how tall he is really quick.
He's listed at 6'5".
6'6" on Fanspo.
Okay, that's good size. I mean, that's solid for.
Yeah, he's strong, isn't like he's well put together. He's a great athlete, all that stuff. Really good hang time, body control. I I would see what other options there might be.
Mhm.
I think if you do that, you still have to go out and get it. I mean, no matter what, the Lakers have to get a center. Like that's
Right.
to be absolutely clear to anybody who's like, no, but they need a center. Like, no, that they can do that too. They
Yeah.
would need to do that too. Um, and if you do that, like if you were able to turn Rui into
Mathurin.
Shepherd and Mathurin, without
Mhm.
touching that 31 first, then you could use that 31 first on a center. And I think you have a pretty decent squad going into next year.
Yeah.
Like, is it the title favorite? No. Is there a path to through which or that they could take to make a little bit of noise? I think yes. This we're gonna segue kind of awkwardly into kind of meta analysis here.
Mhm.
Uh, you know, we both I think spend quite a bit of time on Twitter. Both of our mentions are both pretty active. We look at this stuff pretty incessantly. Um, I'm kind of curious. I kind of want to go through some of the talking points that we have both seen. Not the most ridiculous ones that we're going to laugh at, right? But like some of the conversations that are taking place, or the questions that you have gotten most often,
Mhm.
that you would maybe want to address here. Does that I mean, I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot. Is there a topic or a name that you get asked about more than say others that you would want to hit on before we dive into the super comments?
Yeah, I think the main one that I get, Anthony, is you get it the same, I'm sure, is Nick Claxton, right? That's the name that gets thrown.
Yeah.
That's what everyone goes, and just it's very easy to plug his name into the trade machine and build contracts with that. With that, and every time I get mentioned this, I try to respond with, and the Lakers haven't really invested that into a center that's not a star, right? Anthony Davis is the only one, but Anthony Davis has been asking for another big for a very long time, has not been quiet about it. And the Lakers have gone into the minimum, salary range. They have gone into the two-way salary range. And going from that to a 20, whatever he's making, $25 million. And it's a good contract. I believe it declines as it's
Declines,
going.
yeah.
Right. And you can get there without, putting Austin in the deal as well. But that's the one name that I get asked a lot. And I'll be really fascinated to see how the Lakers approach that. Obviously, they went to the playoffs and did not play a center, which we both have kind of spoke about how that was a mistake. But yeah, just that's a lot of investment into a center. And in my opinion, I'll ask you this. I think they're going to go with the center by committee approach of just we're going to get the centers in that like maybe 5 to 10 million range and
But they can
try
only
to
get one of them. I mean, unless you're trading and expiring for like bad money.
like I'm saying like not all three in that range, but like sign one of the centers in that range and then another center on the minimum, like Coloco or whatever. Or not Coloco, excuse me, Capella. Freudian slip there, but yeah, like I just
Who
that's
you
kind of
prefer?
the right exactly. That's kind of the range that I see. So I just the Nick Claxton stuff. I could, I could see them making that deal, but I just have not seen them, Anthony, invest in a center in that manner. So that's kind of the most.
But how much of
Uh,
them not investing in center in that manner had to do with the fact that they were already invested in Anthony Davis?
yeah,
Like, had they traded everything that they were getting ready to trade Mark Williams for, eventually you're going to pay Mark Williams that amount of money too.
sure, but I think Mark Williams was almost the perfect sweet spot, right? Because you're swapping
Minus
rookie.
his, being made of wet toilet paper. But yeah,
Yes, healthy Mark Williams, of course. Healthy Mark Williams was in that sweet spot where
oxymoron. But yeah.
not according to Mark Williams, but
According to the Hornets, he was like, "I'm healthy. I swear I'm healthy." He was like, "Hey man,
right.
you can't play the second night of back to back. Other than that, I'm healthy."
Right, yeah. But yeah, Mark Williams was in that sweet spot where he's still on his rookie contract, and you're trading rookie contract for rookie contract in Dalton Connect, obviously attaching other first round. And to me, that's what was so loud about that deal is the amount of first round draft capital that went out. I think was because of the contract. They do not want a 20 whatever $1 million player at that position locked in. Without seeing what that fit is with Luca and everyone. But that's what I've seen, and that has dominated my mentions. It's just Nick Claxton. Got to be Nick Claxton, and I think I posed this question in our Slack, but just how many real basketball games has Nick Claxton played in? I'm not 100% sure. I think he was part of the
Oh,
Nets
ever?
run.
Well, he was there. He played a playoff game or few
Okay,
for the Nets back when they went on that run with D'Lo, right? So I think he was part of that team.
okay, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but yeah, I think my concern with Claxton is he's so skinny
right.
that like maybe you basically go into next season, especially like the off season I'm kind of outlining now in my head is swap Rui for Mathurin and whatever contracts that you need to. Ideally Shepherd, but maybe Indiana doesn't want to give up both. Shepherd actually is on. He has another year left of his. Well, he has a team option for like $3-ish million next year. So I don't think the Pacers are going to move him while he is so cheap,
Hmm.
given their financial constraints. But maybe it's like, uh, let's see. So Mathurin is at 9, Rui is 18. So you got to make up another. So maybe it's like, I don't know. How do you feel about Jarris Walker?
Not I'm not not sure that's really the guy you want to go in
No,
with.
but like I'm trying to find like contracts that the Pacers would be able to move.
I see.
Um, because if the Lakers trade Rui for Mathurin and let's just say hypothetically TJ McConnell, they would have to attach another contract to Rui
Right.
to avoid being hard capped below the first apron, which is going to be really difficult for them to get to.
Hmm.
So they have to send out more money than they bring back,
Mm.
which really you know makes things kind of complicated there for the Lakers. But anyway, like if it's Rui for Mathurin and stuff, and you don't touch that 2031 pick or 32, depending on which one the Lakers want to move, um, and then you use that pick on Claxton and you go into next season with the starting five of, and you would use expirings on Claxton,
Yeah.
without messing with your actual rotation, right? So you would probably send out Kleba and Gabe, and would you send Dalton there?
I would hope you wouldn't. I hope you wouldn't have to shake. Yeah, you would. No, shake. You can throw in the deal, but I would
Yeah.
hope Dalton is not used. I wouldn't want to use Rui and Dalton to go get Bennett Mathurin. But
No. I'm saying the Dalton would be used in the Claxton deal.
oh, I see.
So it
Okay,
would be. I'm just looking at like the numbers here off the top of my head because I believe Claxton makes about 25.
right.
So if it would be Gabe and Maxi and Dalton plus, which gets you to
The
26 or
number.
so,
Okay,
26 and a half, and then plus the 2031 pick. So you would make, and then you would move Rui for Mathurin
I
and
see for
stuff.
Mathurin. Okay,
And then you would go into next season with the starting five potentially of basically Luca, Austin,
Mathurin,
Mathurin,
LeBron.
LeBron, and Claxton. Um, Plus, you still have Dorian on the team. You still have Vando on the team. You still have your taxpayer mid-level exception to use in this situation. And maybe with the team looking like that, maybe just and given some of the names that might be available at
Yeah,
the taxpayer mid-level exception, maybe LeBron takes a bit of a hit there to make the Lakers or to get the Lakers that opportunity there. I'm not banking on it, so I'm just going to say that the Lakers are going to have the taxpayer mid-level, and then you have
mm,
veteran minimums from there. I would probably say maybe Capella would be available at the veteran minimum. And then
yeah.
you use the taxpayer on whatever other hole that you feel like you need to fill. That if I was to say, hey Raj, that's the offseason that the Lakers just had. How
I
would you
think
feel about that offseason?
I think that's a fine offseason. And I think that's more in the realistic kind of realm that I would see. I just don't see them making a huge, splash. But that seems more in the mark of kind of filling in some of the holes and then reassessing at the deadline. So I could definitely see them doing that. I would more predict. I think going after centers like Gafford. I could see Luke Cornett as a guy that they go after as well. He obviously had the great
Maybe
game,
I just don't see Boston letting go of a white guy. Like that's it's
but they
hard
already
for me
have
to.
they have
Huh?
Peyton Pritchard. They have
No,
they
but
already have other white
they
guys.
have to trade like basketball wise on top of it, right? They have to
Sure.
trade Chris Stapps to get to start cutting some of their salary, because they do need to bring that total number down.
You sure they're going to be able to trade Kristaps? I mean, he had the strangest playoffs I think I've ever seen in terms of the
Yeah,
quotes
I
that
mean they
come
might
out.
decide not to because they don't want to sell at a low point with him. But then, all right, I mean, do
I
they
think
trade Drew then?
that
Do
makes
they
more
like
sense to me.
I
Yeah,
guess they already have Derek White, and maybe they say Pritchard steps into the starting point guard spot. Um,
yeah,
but even there, like Horford is getting older.
it-
Uh,
yeah.
I don't know what the future for. I don't know how to say his name. Queta.
Kata.
Um,
Hmm.
I don't know what his future would look like. I just don't like Cornet. They love there. He has legitimately grown while he's been there. I just don't see Boston as the kind of organization that would devote so many resources to Cornet's development and then just be like, shucks, we can't pay you. Like I think if
he's an unrestricted free agent, and I don't even think they have his bird right, so he can
wait,
go
why
to.
wouldn't they?
Didn't he just sign there? Was he there for a few years now?
I feel
I
like they
don't.
drafted him.
You might be right. Okay, he was undrafted. He signed a two-way with the Knicks. Trying to find his basketball
He's played
history.
in the NBA for 7 seasons. He's been in the NBA for 7 seasons. Hold on. That is what?
I did not realize that either.
But he's been in Boston now for like 4 years, so I think
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
they
so
have
they
his
do
birthday.
have it. Yeah, but they continue to just sign him on 1 year
Holy
deals.
shit, dude! He's 29 years old.
Oh
Uh,
wow. Yeah.
I was like, I was like, whoa! I like going into this offseason, I was thinking, maybe he'd be fun to like kind of.
You could add him to our young core. Dalton, Luke Cornett.
He's older than you. Holy
Yeah.
shit!
God.
Jeez, that's crazy. Oh, maybe that does make him. I thought he was going to be more expensive because he was certainly younger than 29. I
He
think you could get him at, if not at the veteran minimum, but certainly
right,
at the taxpayer mid level at 29
right.
years old.
He probably wants a bigger role too, right? It's clear in Boston he's just playing behind way too many big,
Yeah.
even with
The
Tatum's
most minutes
injury.
he's ever played was this year, where he played 18 and a half minutes per game.
Yeah. So I could see them go after him. Goga is another name that has been floated around, a lot in the kind of conversation sphere. And obviously Daniel Gafford. I think that bridge has reopened, where those two can
Yeah.
maybe.
They're in like a better mood.
Right.
You
Yes.
see that video of them at the Clutch like pro day?
Oh no, I haven't seen.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that yet.
It's Nico. Like, it opens up. Clutch released it, I
Okay.
believe, and or Gavoni released it, and it like opens up. It starts with like a zoom in on the Lakers banner, and then it goes right to Anthony Davis, and it goes right
Right.
to Nico, and it goes right to Jason Kidd, and I think Pat Riley was next after that, and it was like, is this a Lakers thing? Like, what are we watching? Um, but yeah, like it was. Nico looked like he was in a pretty good mood while he was there. So,
Okay.
because here's the thing, Raj, the time that I saw him in Dallas, he looked miserable every single second that I saw him. Like,
Makes
he was, at
sense.
no point did I see his smile. At no point did I see him being at all affable. At no point did I see him like just looking for people to talk. Meanwhile, Rob Pelinka is at center court of
Right.
the
Like he owns it.
Mavericks home court, like just saying like, "Come on, everybody, ask your questions. Come on, on the record, off the record. Come on in. I got my cool leather jacket." Um,
Right.
yeah, I think he might have been in a good enough mood to where I could have been like, "Hey, Rob, how you doing, bud?" No, probably not. I don't think there's a such thing. But yeah, man, that's crazy about Luke Cornett. But yeah, to your point though, the maybe just maybe the Lakers. What would you give up? What would you say is the most you would give up for Gafford? And then we'll get to the start comment.
Okay.
And
Well,
we'll
I
get
mean,
out of here.
they need guards. It feels like so. Well, I mean, Cooper Flag's gonna come and just change their entire world. But yeah, like something like just filler salary, Gabe, and for a second or whatever it should cost.
Would you
I
give up
I
Dalton for him?
probably go get Daniel Gafford. How old is Gafford? Is he 30 yet? And I
That
think
I don't know.
uh oh, he's 26. Wow, yeah, then definitely I think I would. And he also has just inherent, relation with Luca already in terms of the success they've had. I think it's worth that. I think that would make sense. He's better than Mark Williams. I mean, just
Yeah.
not just
Well,
health wise, but I mean just in terms of like I think he's better
yeah.
as a basketball player. So I would.
I remember like everybody lost their minds over the Mark Williams trade. And
Uh-huh.
people were like, "Oh my god, I can't believe they got Mark Williams." And I watched the video. I'm like, this feels like an overpay. Like, I wasn't exactly bummed out when the
Sure.
trade was rescinded. I was bummed out about the timing of it, and that the Lakers were going to go into the playoffs with Jackson Hayes as their starting center for now
Right, right.
very 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 clear reasons, painfully clear reasons even. And at the time though, I was thinking, you know, actually I think I'd rather have Dalton, like,
Yeah,
even straight up.
sure,
Not
sure.
even counting the first rounder that they were sending, none of the other stuff. I think I would just rather have Dalton on my team than Mark Williams.
Uh, because of what we do in terms of the covers that we put in. You don't have to always just listen to the people who only cover the team, but I think it's very insightful. So when the Mark Williams deal happened, I went and listened to all the Charlotte pods, and they were not happy. Number one, that the deal was rescinded, and number two,
Yeah.
they're kind of how they described Mark was very troubling to me. They described him as maybe the softest center in the league, always gets pushed around.
Yep.
I'm like, that is not the guy that I think needs to
It
come
was the
and be
guy
this.
that AD just torched for like a 40-20 game.
Right. Yes. A couple days before. And again, like players in those situations, you have to use some kind of context
No,
around,
man, it's a matter of pride. Like,
sure, but I mean, like a guy
Like,
like
a guy is going for 40 and 20 on you, you got to fight him at some point.
sure,
See,
but
at no point did I ever watch, like, while I was watching that game, did I ever think to myself, yeah, Mark Williams is totally going to show some fight back here. No, he didn't. It
I
was just
think
like
Zoo put like a
he's
30-20 game
not.
on him too, but,
Yeah,
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 no, I'm with but I like again, in those situations, like PJ Washington, for example, right, in Charlotte, is a guy that has left that situation, has become one of the most valuable type of wings in the league. You can pry dudes from bad situations. Gafford, for even, right, pried him from Washington as well, as a guy that was in Washington. Obviously had moments on that team, but not what he was for Dallas. And Mark Williams, you can kind of see it, right? I think he has a longer standing reach than Wembanyama. Like there was measurables
yeah,
there that you can kind of believe in, but yeah, the conversation around him was a little troubling. So
yeah. All right, let's dive into we have one super comment here, and then we will call it a night. That means I get to play this. Whoops, sorry. Not sorry, that was on purpose. All right. That should I like edit that and say like fuck Bing Bong?
no, that was too special. We don't you can't change that video. No.
It is. That is like a to quote the Lakers, it's a pillar of the franchise. All right. So the starred comment that we got here from JK Productions: losing LeBron for nothing is inevitable, but this cap sheet can't win. His exit lets LA reset around Luka and gives LBJ a shot at one more ring in Cleveland. No, like I think people are completely underrating the basketball that we just watched LeBron James play last year. He finished 6th in MVP voting today.
Mhm.
6th. That means he's going to be on an all NBA team. Whether he's first or second, we'll see. But that means he's going to be on an all NBA team. And if you just look at it this way, the highest paid player in the league is currently making what, like 65?
Yeah. Is that still
Right?
Jaylen Brown? I think it's Jaylen Brown.
I think so. And LeBron is making 55. And
Mhm.
if LeBron was the highest paid player in the sport, I'd be like, okay, yeah, the Lakers books are cooked. Like they don't have a chance if LeBron was making 65. But as we keep going, Shea winning MVP today
Mhm.
means that he is going to be eligible for a 5-year, $380 million contract next year, according to Bobby Marks. That's 75 or 70-ish million bucks a year. No, it's literally $75 million a year.
Yeah.
5 times 75 is 380. English major. But yeah, like I'm looking at like LeBron's number that he's at, and I can totally understand because I was always the guy, and I've always been the guy who said if you have a player on a max salary slot who is not worth a max salary, then you're done, right? And that was why so many teams over the years have been so cooked. I think OKC's in trouble whenever they have to pay Shea $75 million a year. I don't think he's that level of player. Congrats on the MVP. Maybe he wins the Finals MVP, whatever this year. I still don't think he's on that level of being a
Really? Mhm.
$75 million player because you're telling me that he would be then worth LeBron James plus another $20 million player. I just don't see that, you
Sure.
know? So to me, just mathematically, I'm saying I would prefer because I just don't see very many paths. And I spent last episode talking about this. I don't see very many paths after LeBron leaves one way or another, whether he walks outright, which would be fucking disastrous,
Right.
or even if you trade him with the no trade clause where he gets to dictate the terms of a trade. There just is no way where the Lakers wind up net positive after that.
I totally agree. Just really quickly on the Supermax thing, I think Shea is that level of player now where I think the NBA has kind of hurt its own kind of business is that I don't think teams should be I don't think teams should hurt from paying their players more, right? Like I think it should count the same in the cap, but it's not going to. Shea making the Shea being eligible for this actually hampers OKC's team building in a way because now that percentage of the cap is just higher in terms of what it was before, and they have to kind of be a little bit more careful of how they build. So I think that's just an NBA kind of thing they can fix pretty easily by still letting it just count against the cap of a normal max, and then you don't have to go through this whole thing. But
I've been begging this for years, Raj.
it
I've been doing this for. I think Jen and I did the math on this. Professionally, I've been doing this for about 8 years or so, but like even trying to get my career going, I think total has been like 12 or 13 years. And from day one, I've been like max contracts, or like the way that the NBA treats bird rights. Basically, whatever amount that you can pay a player above what another team can pay him, that amount shouldn't count against your cap.
100%. That's the whole reason you have these star trades like DeMarcus Cousins was one of the first kind
Owners
of
could do that, but they won't do it because it affects their bottom line, by the way.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, that's why I think you've seen so many of these trades. But I'm with you. There's just no world where you lose LeBron this summer, and I think you're a better team for it. Right. There's just people like, oh yeah, tell the Cavs to give you Evan Mobley. That's not how this works at all. There's no chance you're getting Evan Mobley for LeBron. You're
Remember
getting some
when the
filler.
Lakers traded Shaq? And this was the same Shaq who went out and won a championship the next year in Miami. That would be like asking for Dwayne Wade in that spot.
Right.
And in Miami, like if you would have asked for Dwayne Wade in that spot, Pat Riley would have been like, no, it's not happening.
There are people today who feel like they should have gotten Dwayne Wade back for Shaq.
So do I. I wish they would have gotten Dwayne Wade, but it was never happening.
Right.
You don't have the upper there is no world in which if you're trading a superstar, you have the leverage to dictate the terms. The Lakers just got Luka Doncic.
Right.
For not everything.
Exactly. Yeah. Your leverage is
one first rounder.
Right. Still absurd a few months later. But you're right. LeBron's no trade clause really is the dominant thing here, because he not only dictates what team he goes to, he dictates the package that is returning. Right. Bradley Beal somehow still wields the same amount of power. I also think your no trade clause should go away once you're traded. I think that's like a team to team thing, but no, we'll see if the NBA ever changes that. But yeah, there's just no world where LeBron's leaving this season. Now I think he has some decisions to make in terms of if this is his last year or not, but and that I think will kind of also give the Lakers some kind of path how to move forward this summer, and we'll see if he opts out or opts in or whatever it is. That'll have a huge ramification. But yeah, LeBron's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Jason also chimes in with, so why waste LeBron's last year with keep his job Rob? I know that's just kind of an addition to the last question, but keep his job Rob is a fucking incredible nickname. That is so good.
That's all you. I feel like that's created from you.
You have I'm JK Productions. Like I'm sending in these super comments just for that. Keep his job Rob is an incredible nickname, and that's probably what I'm going to call him from now on. All right, I think that is going to do it, because I am tired and it is technically my off season right now. Shouts to Avery, by the way. And I'm going to play this for her in the morning. Avery's graduating from kindergarten tomorrow.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
Tomorrow. The little girl who says goodbye, everyone. Or, when I ask whose show is this, she's the one, Dad. She recorded that 3 years ago. And now she's getting ready to retire, or to retire. She has a player option for first grade.
Right.
She's getting
no extension on kindergarten. Yeah.
I have her bird rights, fortunately. Brighter future ahead of her than Luke Cornett, I think.
Oh man.
So basically the reason I say all of that is because I think I am going to take the rest of this week off and just kind of hang with Avery, celebrate that and all of that. But in order to make up for that, on Monday I was supposed to have Trevor on the show earlier this week. He had a house issue. He lives out of state. He's not in California. and apparently a tornado messed with his power. So he is going to be coming on Monday. And we will, I would normally take Monday off as it is my off season and as it is Memorial Day, but I'll be working Monday to make up for not doing shows tomorrow and Friday. So thank you everybody for tuning in this week. And please hit that subscribe button. Raj, thank you very much for hopping on. Anything, by the way, you are doing a ton of stuff. So plug it all. I'm going to get out of the way, whether it's your show with Vinay, the work that you're doing with Silver Screen. Here's the ball.
Sure. Yeah, we just recorded a Lakers Detailed on Monday night, so that's up on all platforms. I just wrote about Dalton yesterday. Anthony, I went and watched every single shot, against Dalton. In all the games he played over 25 minutes. And so there was a mixed bag of defense that I wrote about for Silver Screen, writing about Jordan Goodwin today. So we'll have that up by tomorrow as well. On the site, and I'm very proud of both of us that we did this whole show and not bring up Giannis one time. I think that is amazing that
it's just not feasible. Like, here's the thing: I will bring up Giannis. I will do an emergency podcast. Even I will talk about Giannis to the Lakers the second he says he wants to be a Laker, because until that moment, there is no way the Lakers can put together an offer for Giannis that competes with what other teams will be able to do.
My whole thing with Giannis and, our final super comment, or not final one, the one right before it was the final one where he said, keep his job, Rob. If Rob brings Giannis in a 4-month period of bringing Luka Doncic, there might be a statue outside and there may be a jersey retired.
Think about it. He was there when LeBron signed.
Right.
He traded for AD. He traded for Luka, and then in this hypothetical, he trades for Giannis
with 2 first-round picks and a swap to play with.
The Lakers are gonna have to tamper their asses off. But I promise, if it's reported that Giannis specifically wants to play for the Lakers, then okay, we'll have that conversation. Until then, it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. All right. That is going to do it though. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, follow Raj's work everywhere that he is putting in work. And until the next time you guys hear from us, have a great rest of your weekend. Please be safe this weekend. Big drinking weekend ahead of us. If you are going to, get after it, please do. Uber wherever it is that you're Ubering. Leave your car overnight. The parking ticket is a hell of a lot cheaper than the alternatives, plural, because there are very many ways that could potentially go. So, please be safe this weekend. Happy Memorial Day, and big bomb, motherfuckers.
Bye, everyone.